Bridgetown, Barbados, West Indies Federation. Trevor's Bar personifies the wild West Indies, or more specifically, each island's special economic zone. This is not a place most people would associate with the order and tranquility of post-war Caribbean life. It is not meant to be. Fenced off from the rest of the island and catering to a culture of chaotic violence and debauchery, the special economic zones are engineered specifically to separate off-islanders from their money. My discomfort seems to please T. Sean Collins, who slides a shot of Kill Devil rum in my direction, then swings his massive boot-clad feet onto the table.
They ain't come up with a name for what I used to do. Not a real one, not yet. Independent contractor sounds like I should be laying drywall and smearing plaster. Private security sounds like some dumbass mall guard. Mercenary is the closest, I guess, but at the same time, about as far from the real me as you could have gotten. A mercenary sounds like some crazed-out NAM vet, all tats and handle stash, humping in some third-world cesspool because he can't hack it back in the real world. That wasn't me at all. Yeah, I was a vet. And yeah, I used my training for cash. Funny thing about the Army, they always promise to teach you marketable skills, but they never mention that, by far, there's nothing more marketable than knowing how to kill some people while keeping others from being killed. Maybe I was a mercenary, but you'd never know it to look at me. I was clean-cut, nice car, nice house, even a housekeeper who came in once a week. I had plenty of friends, marriage prospects, and my handicap at the country club was almost as good as the pros. Most importantly, I worked for a company no different than any other before the war. There was no cloak and dagger, no back rooms and midnight envelopes. I had vacation days and sick days, full medical and a sweet dental package. I paid my taxes, too much. I paid into my IRA. I could have worked overseas. Lord knows there's plenty of demand. But after seeing what my buddies went through in the last brush fire, I said screw it. Let me guard some fat CEO or worthless dumb celebrity. And that's where I found myself when the panic hit. Y'all don't mind if I don't mention any names, 'kay? Because some of these people are still alive, or their estates are still active, and can you believe they're still threatening to sue after all that's gone down? Okay, so I can't name names or places, but figure it's an island, a big island, a long island, right next to Manhattan. Can't sue me for that, right? My client, I'm not sure what he really did. Something in entertainment or high finance. Beats me. I think he might have even been one of the senior shareholders in my firm. Whatever. He had bucks. Lived in this amazing pad by the beach. Our client liked to know people who were known by all. His plan was to provide safety for those who could raise his image during and after the war, playing Moses to the scared and famous. And you know what? They fell for it. The actors and singers and rappers and pro athletes and just the professional faces, like the ones you see on talk shows or reality shows, or even that little rich, spoiled, tired-looking whore who was famous for just being a rich, spoiled, tired-looking whore. There was that record mogul guy with the big old diamond earrings. He had this tricked-out AK with a 30 mil grenade launcher. He loved to talk about how it was an exact replica of the one from Scarface. I didn't have the heart to tell him that Senor Montana had used a 16A1 with an M203 launcher. There was the political comedy guy, you know, the one with the show. He was snorting blow between the airbags of this teeny Thai stripper while spewing about how what was happening wasn't just about the living versus the dead. It would send shockwaves through every facet of our society. Social, economic, political, even environmental. He said that, subconsciously, everyone already knew the truth during the Great Denial, and that's why they wigged out so hard when the story was finally broken. It all actually kind of made sense, until he started spewing about high-fructose corn syrup and the feminization of America. Crazy, I know, but you kind of expected those people to be there. At least I did. What I didn't expect was all their people. Every one of them, no matter who they were or what they did, had to have at least I don't know how many stylists and publicists and personal assistants. Some of them, I think, were pretty cool, just doing it for the money, or because they figured they'd be safe there. Young people just trying to get a leg up. I can't fault them for that. Some of the others, though, real pricks, all drunk on the smell of their own shit. Just rude and pushy and ordering everyone else around. One guy sticks out in my mind, only because he wore this baseball cap that read, "Get it done." I think he was the chief handler of the fat fuck who won that talent show. That guy must have had 14 people around him. I remember thinking at first that it would be impossible to take care of all these people. But then after my initial tour of the premises, I realized our boss had planned for everything. He transformed his home into a survivalist's wet dream. He had enough dehydrated food to keep an army fed for years, as well as an endless supply of water from a desalinizer that ran right out into the ocean. He had wind turbines, solar panels, and backup generators with giant fuel tanks buried right under the courtyard. He had enough security measures to hold off the living dead forever. High walls, motion sensors, and weapons. Oh, the weapons. Yeah, our boss had really done his homework. But what he was most proud of was the fact that every room in the house was wired for a simultaneous webcast that went out all over the world 24/7. This was the real reason for having all his closest and best friends over. He didn't just want to ride out the storm in comfort and luxury. He wanted everyone to know he'd done it. That was the celebrity angle, his way of ensuring high-profile exposure. Not only did you have a webcam in almost every room, but there was all the usual press you'd find on the Oscars red carpet. I honestly never knew how big an industry entertainment journalism was. There had to be dozens of them there from all these magazines and TV shows. "How are you feeling?" I heard that a lot. "How are you holding up? What do you think is going to happen?" And I swear, I even heard someone ask, "What are you wearing?" For me, the most surreal moment was standing in the kitchen with some of the staff and other bodyguards, all of us watching the news that was showing, guess what? Us. The cameras were literally in the other room pointed at some of the stars as they sat on the couch watching another news channel. The feed was live from New York's Upper East Side. They were coming right up 3rd Avenue. People were taking them on, hand to hand, hammers and pipes. The manager of a Modell's Sporting Goods was handing out all his baseball bats and shouting, "Get him in the head!" There was this one guy on rollerblades. He had a hockey stick in his hand, a big old meat cleaver bolted to the blade. He was doing an easy 30. At that speed, he might have taken a neck or two. The camera saw the whole thing. The rotted arm that shot out of the sewer drain in front of him. The poor guy backflipping into the air, coming down hard on his face, then being dragged screaming by his ponytail into the drain. At that moment, the camera in our living room swung back to catch the reactions of the watching celebs. There were a few gasps, some honest, some staged. I remember thinking I had less respect for the ones who tried to fake some tears than I did for the little spoiled whore who called the rollerblading guy a dumbass. Hey, at least she was being honest. I remember standing next to this guy, Sergey, miserable, sad-faced, hulking motherfucker. His stories about growing up in Russia convinced me that not all third-world cesspools had to be tropical. It was when the camera was catching the reactions of the beautiful people that he mumbled something to himself in Russian. The only word I could make out was Romanov's, and I was about to ask him what he meant when we all heard the alarm go off. Something had triggered the pressure sensors we'd placed several miles around the wall. They were sensitive enough to detect just one zombie. Now they were going. Our radios were squawking,